First Alert 6 starts with breaking news.
The breaking news we're following: authorities are investigating a crash in the metro. This is what that scene looked like right around midnight. Authorities at the scene tell us a driver fled a traffic stop and crashed into parked cars at 19th and W. We're told the driver was taken into custody. Authorities say they do suspect that alcohol was involved.
Also breaking this morning, one person's in the hospital after a late night cutting. It happened at 13th and Howard just after 11 last night. Dispatchers tell us the victim's injuries are not considered serious. We'll be sure to update you on both of these breaking stories as soon as we learn more information. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us here on First Alert 6 streaming this Friday morning. Happy Friday. I'm Cerise Cole.
I'm Erin Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. We have been very fortunate with the forecast this week. It gets even better today. Talking about the 60s.
It's been a steady warming trend since Tuesday. We were in the 40s Tuesday, had 50s on Wednesday, got to 60 yesterday, and I think we can better it by a couple of degrees today. Oh, this is really cool. We got a cool shot. You can see the workers there on the top of the tower working along, finishing things up there. As we get a beautiful sunrise, some of the views they must get looking out across the area. Very mild temperatures will continue today. I think we get into the low 60s today. It's close to a record high still on Monday, and then the pattern change by the end of next week does bring some cooler air and some rain and snow chances with it. But it is cold this morning, a lot colder than yesterday morning, as a matter of fact. We're down to 24 with light winds, so take the heavy coat, warm hat, and the gloves. It's going to be a pretty chilly start to a day, and then some scattered clouds will move in. I wouldn't worry about any precipitation. That's all probably going to stay south of I-80 if it even holds together, and the odds are pretty low for that. Otherwise, you got a pocket of 30s here. Trainer, Underwood, and Council Bluffs. You've been hanging on to about 30 degrees all morning long, so a little luckier than the rest of us that have dipped into the 20s. Wahoo down to 20 degrees right now. You go outside of the metro, look at that. Some teens showing up. So cold, yes, but we will improve greatly over the course of the day. Temperature change from 7 o'clock yesterday morning. We're 5 to 20 degrees colder in several spots as you're starting off. So you will notice that when you step out, but the afternoon will recover and we'll have a great day. Here's how it goes through the course of the day. Some of those scattered clouds drift in. By noon, look how much we've warmed well into the 50s over much of the area. By 2, 3 o'clock, we're talking 61 to 62 degrees, and that's where we top out. About 62 today, falling back already by 5. Some scattered clouds again, nothing ominous from these. By 7, we're down to 49 and a quiet night, but the clouds are gradually going to fill up the sky. So as we go deeper into the evening and overnight, some high clouds moving in, and that's where models differ. Just how thick are these clouds on Saturday? You can see this suggests it's some thin clouds that are a little thicker down to the south and not much in the way of precipitation. We're on the north edge of this, so Saturday is kind of a partly to mostly cloudy day on Valentine's Day. Therefore, we trended a little cooler, might not have quite as much sunshine to help us out, and a small chance of a shower south of the metro primarily. If you're going to Kansas City on Valentine's Day, or maybe in our far southern counties down along the Kansas-Missouri border, best chance of a stray shower there. Sunday we go 64. Could have a little early fog on that day too. But that right there, I think Sunday's probably the best day of the weekend. Great weekend though to be outside and doing whatever you need to.
All right, Sunday's the day, so we'll all put a star by it. So as for Monday, you said we could hit a record. Has anything changed? Are we still on track for that?
President's Day looks like it's pretty darn close to a record. We did trend a little cooler, but it's still going to be great nonetheless. 67 is the record. 65 is in the forecast now, but still great. We'll get close to it. We'll watch it and see how it goes. Not a very old record, but another thing to watch. Plus, beyond that on Monday, the clouds will start to fill in a little bit more. And I think as we head into Tuesday, we got a small chance of a shower. That's the first of what will be several systems, I think, moving through the country, right through the middle of the country, given a pattern change that we're going to have. And that'll increase our ability to get some rain and some snow in the area. Tuesday's one to watch. Most of that'll go north. Thursday's the next batch to watch with some shower potential and then maybe some snow on the north edge of this heading into early Friday morning. Again, this is the end of next week where we'll watch this. This has been consistently there on models, but the timing bounces around in the exact location. But at least there's something to bring us a little bit of precipitation and maybe another one over next weekend as well. So a very busy weather pattern I think will start to pick up next week. Enjoy this weekend, though. 64 Sunday, 65 on Monday, up near 70 still on Tuesday, and still pretty good on Wednesday, as a matter of fact. But there's the cooler air heading towards the weekend. Next weekend, with some rain, some snow chances back in play. Again, yes, you see a high of 42. You're wondering, how can it snow? Well, it gets cold at night. And you get some nighttime snows with some of this as well. So a lot of facets to watch there.
Okay, let's get an update on the traffic this morning on a Friday. First alerting us to a crash you've been following.
This is just coming in, and it's in a neighborhood, but you're going to want to watch for some emergency crews that are going to be heading toward this scene. And this is as you're getting on 36th Street, a little bit to the north of Vinton. So let's take a look at where we're seeing this being in place. This, again, just kind of getting the information coming in, but there's what we're talking about. There's Vinton down in this area right here. So we're a little further to the north, a little south of Wright Street is where you may find this situation. You want to avoid that area while that is getting worked for this time period. But that's the only real issue that we've had. It's been a very quiet start to the morning. It is backing up a fair bit on 144th Street. That's what you're looking at here, just to the north of I-80. And when we look at that on map form, we've had some off and on delays that have been showing up as you're trying to get your way toward the interstate. So watch for that. Also seeing a similar situation westbound on 370 as you get near I-80. Again, that's not too surprising. We've seen that a few times this week. Don't be surprised if there's maybe a little bit of sun glare this morning as you're heading along 370. That eastbound is a stretch that gets impacted a lot of times from that, as well as I-80 as you get right past the 680 interchange. A lot of times we get some delays. And then Dodge as you're making your way around 168th or so. That's had some issues over the last couple of mornings as well. So mostly quiet, just a couple of issues here and there that you want to watch out for, but it's a mostly pretty good start to our morning. You know, we have the OPS schools are out of session today. That's likely helping with some of the traffic flow out there, but still some other schools that are in session, so use some caution out there.
Okay, Jared, thank you very much. On today's Now, 3 of the latest suspects in a Nebraska couple's disappearance have been arraigned. Authorities believe Hannah Neville, her husband Roberto Tanner, and their unborn child are believed to be dead. Kendall Hawthorne, Amy Mitchell, and Sheena Miller were each charged with accessory to murder and tampering with evidence. Matthew Licklider is accused of helping to burn the vehicle. He's expected to be in court today. Sterling James, who is Roberto's half-brother, and his wife, Sadie Titus, were the first two people arrested in this case. James has been accused of killing the couple. Titus is charged with accessory and tampering.
Well, the Omaha senator seen on camera removing pictures from a display inside the state capitol last month has now been formally reprimanded. The legislature's executive board called Michaela Kavanaugh's conduct unprofessional and unbecoming. On the first day of the legislative session, Governor Pillen posted this video to social media. It shows Kavanaugh taking down several America 250 wall displays. The displays were created by the conservative group PragerU. Pillen has called for a criminal investigation into the matter. The Lancaster County Sheriff's Office says the case remains open and active.
All right, over here at the safety desk with Maria Cade. Your dog may eat anything. Yeah, we all know. Yeah. But you certainly want to keep heavy metals out of their diet. This is really concerning as a pet owner.
Yeah, it's something to keep in mind. There is a new study that's finding that contaminants might be a little bit closer than you think. It actually shows that most dog food contains dangerous levels of those contaminants. So the nonprofit Clean Label Project says that dog food has up to 13 times more heavy metals than human food. And unfortunately, the worst offender is one that's pretty popular and common, kibble. So the study didn't break down the foods by the brand, but it did say that fresh and frozen foods contain less metals than that dry food. Researchers say all of those metals can contribute to higher cancer rates, which is really unfortunate because 1 in 4 dogs will develop cancer in their lifetime.
All right, something to consider as a pet owner. Maria, thank you. We're back after this.
Well, you know the kiddos are so excited because it's Valentine's Day. They're going to have their party. They have all those treats ready. Don't forget their coats, though, because they're going to want those, too.
Yeah, and don't forget the Valentine's and the treats, too.
Grab both of those. All the things.
It's plenty cold out there this morning. Down in the teens and 20s in several spots. 25 at 7, 26 here at 8. And you can see by 9 o'clock we're up to 32. So the kids get a cold drop-off heading to school. And that's the case all across the area. 21 Bellevue, 30 Plattsmouth, 32 in Council Bluffs. So it varies a little bit, but there's definitely more 20s and teens on the map than what we had yesterday. So you will notice it when you head out. So widespread cold air in place, and compared to yesterday, you can see the change in several spots, especially here from Takema over into west central Iowa, where it's 20 degrees colder this morning than it was yesterday morning. Today we'll take 30s, turn them into 60s this afternoon, 61 for the high, falling back later on by tomorrow morning down into the 30s. But let's give you a first alert to a couple of things on the way for the weekend. First, we'll talk about Saturday because there's some rain chances that could graze our southern counties here in the middle of the day. The question is just how thick are the clouds on the north side of this? I think we'll have some high clouds. Question is, do we develop any that are a little lower in the atmosphere and fill up the sky? That's why we're probably going to see 50s most of the afternoon. But notice how there's a clearing line, and that may be enough to bump the temperature up a couple degrees by the end of the day before the sun sets. Watch for a little bit of fog on Sunday morning. Not every model has it, but I'm thinking behind this system Saturday, there's potential to get a little fog in the area. We'll go to 64 for the high there on Sunday by the afternoon with a lot of good weather. Then Monday, we have a record high within reach. 67 is the record. 65 is in the forecast. Yeah, we backed off a little bit on President's Day, but if you have this day off, you lucked out. You get a great one. 65 and partly cloudy skies, and then a little bit more of a breeze on Tuesday. Could have wind gusts up over 30 miles per hour, and we'll go to about 70 degrees on Tuesday. So that's the way it's looking here short term heading into the early part of next week. Pretty much status quo from what we've had. A lot of 50s and 60s. Mild air mid-February.
Let's talk about something we haven't seen in some time. It's the rain. Any rain chances for next week?
Well, I've talked about it several times to the point where the pattern's going to change up. And it's something that I think is going to be very noteworthy by the end of next week. So first alert to this here on the end of the 10-day forecast, and that's what's good about the 10-day. You can see kind of some bigger picture things coming down the pike here. Notice Thursday, Friday, Saturday, some small chances of precipitation. It's mostly because the jet stream's kind of changing up. Nothing all that strong in our area over the country right now, but watch what happens into early next week. This big dip in the jet stream, this is what we call a trough, and it will send systems right in this jet stream right over the middle of the country. And you can see these are very strong upper level winds. We're talking 30 to 40,000 feet up, could top 200 miles per hour. And it's just this conveyor belt that'll send these storm systems through the middle of the country next week and even into next weekend. So that increases the odds of at least some precipitation moving through, but it's going to keep us on the warm side too. Might get the best of both worlds here. We get some moisture and we stay pretty mild, as even towards the end of the month, pretty good odds of widespread rain across the country. So yeah, there could be some snow with it, but overall the pattern change is the big thing there, and that's going to lead to more opportunities for rain. About every 2 or 3 days next week, there's a storm system moving through the country, and I think by the end of next week, we might get one of those.
It'll be our turn finally. Yeah. All right, Rusty, thank you. All right, so OPS is out of school, and I think with the large amount of students and staff not on the roads, it's kind of helping our morning commute. We really haven't had any problems.
Yeah, a lot of times we can really see the difference when different schools are not in session. That's kind of the case that we have so far this morning. As you're looking at the quad box that we love to show here, top right, that is as you're going along Dodge, right around 72nd, and even there, you're kind of seeing a little bit of the impact. You don't have nearly as much traffic making its way through that stretch at this point in the morning compared to the last few mornings. Looking pretty good in some other parts of the metro as well. A little slow at times as on 144th as you're heading southbound, approaching I-80. That's one of the few spots where we have had some issues, but mostly moving along pretty well. Now the top left, that's Epley, and I hit the wrong button, so I'll have to back up through my graphics so we can get to what I wanted to actually talk about. There's where we're at. A couple of different things as you're heading toward the airport this weekend that I want to first alert you to, and that includes this new area of some varying lane restrictions that includes Abbott Drive. It's just south of the terminal, that in place for the next week. So if you're coming in from the south, watch for that. If you're coming in from the north, you have 2 different areas with some work. That includes the intersection with Hartman, just past the terminals with some lane closures. That's scheduled to last through Tuesday. And then Stores also has some work that's happening between 16th and 9th with some varying lane restrictions for 2 weeks. So just to be on the safe side, not a bad idea to maybe just leave a little extra time as you head toward Epley if you're trying to catch a flight. But look at that. Pretty smooth travel throughout the metro. I still think we could have a little sun glare this morning, so be ready for that if you're driving eastbound, but otherwise no problems at this time.
All right, Jared, thank you very much. Happening today, Mayor John Ewing officially announcing the creation of a Youth Advisory Council. The program is open to students who will be high school juniors or seniors in the upcoming year. The announcement will happen this morning at 10:30.
Well, still ahead, nothing says I love you like 90s nostalgia and hot pizza.
And the collab is bringing the romance this Valentine's Day when we come back. New this morning, Pizza Hut working to make sure your Valentine's Day is a little bit more romantic.
Oh, well, look at them. The restaurant chain is teaming up with Backstreet Boys, Nick and Howie, to release a heart-shaped pizza. So the pizza comes with a fun name that's a play on one of the band's biggest hits, Shape of My Heart.
Oh.
The pizza is available through February 22nd. Prices start at $11.99. That's a nice thing you could do at home, right?
There they are.
Get your little pizza. Yeah.
I hear we have one of those pizzas. No. Okay.
You wish. Well, staff and patients at Bergen Mercy are getting into the Valentine's Day spirit with a little help from a furry friend.
Sheila Roble and her therapy dog Rudy have visited patients at the hospital for about 3 years now. The pair delivered candy, cards, flowers to doctors, nurses, even a couple of patients. Sheila says that Rudy might be the most excited for the festivities.
He loves coming. When we get ready at home, he's running around. He's a little more patient when he gets into the hospital, but he loves visiting patients and their families.
Awesome. Yeah. Bergen Mercy says all the proceeds from the program goes to Patient Care Fund to help patients who need extra support paying for their treatment. And Rudy is a great name.
Why is it such a great name?
That's my dog's name. He's also a little fluffy and black also too. Like
I love Rudy's outfit.
You know, they always say that dogs boost morale and can really boost the mood of somebody. So in the hospital, therapy dogs really can mean a lot.
Definitely. And they add years to your life. Just having it on.
And
there's so much good.
You look at Rudy; he's loving it pretty well.
As much as we love dogs, they somehow love us more.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Love dogs so much.
Well, we're spreading the love. We're going to end with that on this Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. You can watch it here on streaming or over the air.
Have a great start to your weekend.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Friday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
I'm Erin Hartley. Let's get an update on the roads on this Friday morning with Jarrett Lansford.
And it's been a pretty smooth start to our Friday. Not much in the way of issues. We are picking up the traffic in some areas. This is what it looks like 370 right near I-80. And you can see that it's a little slow, but moving at this time. There's some of those minor delays that are showing up westbound in that area. And that's really what we have is just a few of these minor delays. A little bit as you're going westbound center, approaching 156. You've got another stretch as you go on L Street westbound near 120th. So not any big problems, just a couple of spots where it's a little bit slow, and you want to watch for some sun glare if you're driving eastbound. That's something that you may encounter as well. Rusty.
Great segue, Jarrett. There we go. There it is. We have a lot of sunlight. Beautiful sunrise. There's a plane taking off from Epley there as well. 24 though, that is cold sunshine. 24 feels like 24 with the light winds. And everybody in the metro, for the most part, in the 20s. Council Bluffs, Trainer, and Underwood, you've been holding on to right around 30 degrees most of the morning compared to the rest of us. So cold air to start, but it's the afternoons that are going to be great. A little bit of moisture down to the south, probably not a huge deal. First alert forecast, what it's going to do is take the 20s this morning. We'll basically take 26 here at 8 o'clock, flip the numbers, and go to 62 for the afternoon high. Looks great. The great end of the weekend. Everybody in the neighborhood should be in a great mood out and enjoying the sunshine. 59 and a few more clouds on Saturday, 64 on Sunday. Great Valentine's Day temperature-wise, but some clouds around and showers should stay down to the south most of the day. Aaron?
Breaking news we are following this morning. Authorities investigating a crash in the metro. This is what that scene looked like around midnight. Authorities at the scene tell us the driver fled a traffic stop and crashed into parked cars at 19th and W. We're told the driver was taken into custody. Authorities say they suspect that alcohol was involved.
Well, it is 7:28. We're back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.